My name is Casey Childers from A Divinis and the Kennedy Vale, and you're listening to Brutally Delicious.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. I'm Bruce. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
My partner couldn't be here today, so you just got me.
Oh, that's all good.
You have video at all?
I'm I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, no stress. Hey, there you are. That's beautiful. Cool, man. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you guys are in Texas? Is that what I read?
No, well, we're kind of all over the place. I mean, Sacramento, technically, California.
Okay. All of
So
you
I'm
guys
here. What's that?
you're all from the same area?
No. I met kind of everybody on the road through the Kennedy Vale. Um, our our bass player lives in Texas, but he at one point was living in California. And our singer lives here in California as well. And the drummer Nathan, who also his main band is Archaic, he lives in, I believe it's Idaho. So
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, cool. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Let's talk about, is it A Divinis?
A Divinis, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I didn't get that wrong. Now that well, that new single is pretty blazing. I was listening to it getting prepped for this
Oh, thank
morning.
you. Thank you.
Heavy
Thank
as
you.
hell. I mean, it's everything you want in an extreme metal song. But now that it's out, what I think about a month or so, what's been the response to it so far?
It's not been bad. It's been pretty good. It's I my gauge is always if it can get the hairs on your own hands standing up, you know what I mean? I think if you're proud of something that you're doing, it really doesn't matter. But I kind of I was interested to see what people would think because the intro for us is a little bit different. I think, because we've released nothing but singles at this point, it's still trying to find the sound. I mean, we kind of know what we want to do, but the reception to it's been pretty awesome. I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, I have so many friends that are touring and all that other stuff that you kind of can even gauge it by showing them, before everything even comes out.
Right.
And you can tell sometimes that somebody's like, oh, that's cool, man. or they're really into it. So everyone seemed pretty proud of it. And so, and doing it on your own, I don't have a label or any of that stuff. So just trying to do as much as I can on my own,
Right.
is tough. So but as far as like your question, yeah, I mean, the response has been great. I mean, pretty proud of it so far. So
Nice. So I know you said you've been doing the single thing. Is there a plan to do an EP or full length, or is it really going to be like the new business model of single every 6 weeks or something?
you know, I wish I could even get it to every 6 weeks, even that's tough. I'll put it this way. I mean, I would probably be more prone to doing an album if we had like label interest or anything like that.
Right.
Because obviously they're not going to want to put out singles and stuff of that, things of that nature. But yeah, I would say that for me, the single thing is probably what we have to do. To me, you know, and I'm sure you know too, like back in the day, you had to like blow your load basically on doing a
Right.
full album. You had to put all this work into doing 12s. There was no other way around it. You know what I mean?
Right. And then some of those songs, even if they were good, that sort of lost in the shuffle. I get that for sure.
Yeah, and I think nowadays for bands to, I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, for bands to stay on the road, I think the single thing is almost what you have to do. You at least have to put out a couple singles that aren't going to be on a record, and then put out a record, and then, I think you have to be pretty big at this point to justify doing a record. That's my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I
You
mean,
got
I
to be
know the
like
whole
for Mod
business
Top
models.
Spheres, What's
Right.
that?
The music business has changed for sure. And, the way consume music is different. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not the same anymore. With Spotify and all that other stuff, I mean, your reach, um, as far as all that stuff is concerned, it's way different. And I just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like doing the singles thing too, because you're kind of on your own timetable about when you want to put out stuff, and you can kind of gauge where you're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As
no,
far as
yeah.
possibly touring in the future or whatever, any
Is
of
that
that stuff.
something that's even on the agenda?
I think if we got enough reaction to it, it would be, you know what I mean? I did so much touring and stuff with the Kennedy Vale, which is like my main project, but we're kind of on a hiatus to whatever extent right now. But I think once you've been out there doing it and you see what it's like and the money and all the other, it doesn't make sense to just go out there and kill yourself, not even making a somewhat okay guarantee. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, we had to fight even to get to the point of the guarantees that we were getting with the Kennedy Bill. I could only imagine what it would be starting off, with a whole
Right.
new project. And I think most younger bands like that are even succeeding and things like that. I think to me, is a smart idea is probably to um, establish yourself a little bit, like get at least a bit of a buzz for you to
Right.
justify going out there being on the road. Because if you're just going out there on the road, then you're just doing it for, a weekend warrior vacation, death trip,
Right. Right.
I trust me, I love the road. I love touring. I absolutely love it,
Gas
but
prices and the
it's
economy, and
priced.
then
The economy is horrible. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm sure you see, I mean, I'm sure on your podcast, you guys have talked about it, the expenses for bands and things of
yeah,
that
and
nature.
even we've been talking about recently about people or venues taking cuts of merch as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you guys saw it. Because you're Canadian, correct?
No, actually, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. My partner's
Oh,
in
okay.
Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I saw
Yeah,
something
no
on
worries.
the email. It must have been something else. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the recent thing with Live Nation putting up that 1,500 or whatever it is, like an additional 1,500. They have a certain amount of venues, I believe, that have agreed to not take merch cut,
Oh, nice.
because I think bands are pushing back.
I mean, you have
It's
to,
kind
right?
of,
Because that's gas money almost.
well, it's yeah. I mean, shit, it's more than that. I mean, you know, think about just even some of these bigger bands that have tour buses and
Right.
things of that nature. Even the smaller bands, that are still in bands and things of that nature. You're 100% right. It's like it's gas and all that other stuff. Yeah, the merch cut thing has been an issue for a long time, and um, I, you know, I use the naughty U word, but unionize, you know what I mean, is
Right.
what I think bands should have fucking done a long time ago. And you can have an actors guild, you have this. I mean, we have like somewhat of a writers guild and things of that nature, but I mean, the fact that bands took this for as long as they did,
Right.
and there's no pushback it's insanity. I mean, it's like you should be getting a cut of their beer sales, you know what I mean, at that point.
Right. Because you're bringing the people in. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bringing you business, and it's just crazy. I mean, like I said, I mean, like even when we're talking about the road stuff, I mean, you know, you know, even being on the road with the Kennedyville, and we've gone to places where there's a 10 per, you know, whatever, I forget whatever the percentage was of what they would take, but you know, it eats into your pot, especially if you're a younger band, you know what I mean? It's not like we were ever on the road making, you know, $1,000 guarantee, you know what I
Right.
mean? So you start cutting into that, you know, um, it gets a little bit crazy. And, you know, I mean, I think the industry also knows that it has to do something to maintain itself. It can't eat itself alive.
Right.
And
Which is what it's doing.
yeah, I mean, it is what it's doing. I mean, look, I mean, greed and, you know, extreme forms of capitalism on this stuff where mine. Well, you know, it's going to get, and I'm sure maybe you feel this way too, but I think it's already affecting younger bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
100%.
gotten to the point where, you know, this isn't like, you know, however many years ago when, you know, Gabe and I started the Kennedyville and, you know, bands were at least at that time. I'm never going to say bands were making great money, but they were making better money than what they're doing now.
Right.
And I think even since the COVID thing, it's allowed venues to get away with even more
Right.
BS.
And then you take Spotify and all the streaming services and you're not
You
getting
make
paid.
nothing off
It's
Spotify. I mean,
right.
Spotify as a whole, it's a gimmick in itself. I mean, all these record labels own stock in Spotify. You know,
Right. So that's kind of
so
what I'm
not
saying. So
only,
money from
yeah,
Spotify, any streaming, you're making no money on the road. I mean, what's in it? I
yeah.
mean, I
I
know
mean,
you have the love for it, but it's still you still gotta live, right? You gotta eat and put gas in the car.
yeah. I mean, if something's not paying you back to some extent, I mean, you can love everything you want. You know what I mean? I
And
think
it's a hobby.
yeah, then it's a hobby. And you know, it's funny that word, like, you know, James Hetfield made a comment about that. You know, he was talking about the music industry and he's like, you know, I don't want to, I don't want to, you know, paramedic come into my house and they're like, I'd save you, but it's kind of a hobby for me at this point. You pay them, they do the thing. I think our industry has been relegated to like, you know, it's not looked at as a big deal because it's music, you know,
Right.
and it's kind of a carny lifestyle to some extent, and for some people, and yeah, I mean, it's just it's not worth. You know, it sucks to say it because I absolutely love touring, but it's just not worth doing. Even if you're in your 20s, it's not. You know, it's not worth doing if you can't do it right.
Right.
And you know, I'm all for. You know, look, I mean, you're not everybody's going to go out there and have a behemoth experience
Right.
of touring, you know what I mean? And that's not what I'm saying either. It's just more of, you know,
Sustainable.
yeah, it has to be, you have to see some type of end goal in it. And it can't just, that's where, you know, like I used that word earlier, that weekend warrior thing of it, where if it's not paying you back enough, then you're going to end up treating it like a hobby than you do a
Right.
career. And I think that's why we've seen such a, you know, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I almost feel like YouTubers and stuff like that at this point. I mean, certain YouTubers are bigger than some bands.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
I mean, and that's even great in itself. You know what I mean? It's just I don't feel like it's changed overnight, but I also feel like it's changed overnight. As you get older,
Yes.
things just move fast, and just a quick thing like even with the Kennedyville, like we put out an EP thing like when we first started off. Everyone keeps calling it our first album, and it's not. You know what I mean? So we're like, they're like, oh, you know, Sense of the Conqueror or whatever. And Gabe and I always are like, no, no, you know, because people don't get that back in the day, like you couldn't go play shows without handing a promoter
A
almost a full
physical
album
copy.
of
Right.
idea of like what you were. And you know, you kind of had to have that. It was almost like your business card back then. You know, we started at the growth of, you know, probably the very beginning of, you know, YouTube and all that stuff. So, you know, I think it's harder for people to understand now that, you know, it wasn't like that back then. Industry has
Right.
changed so much. And that's why I feel so strongly even about singles, you know. I think you can attack, you know, people love art. They love the textile aspect of certain things. And I think the more of that you can create and you can kind of hone what it is image wise that you want to do, that maybe albums really stick you in a, you know, and I'm not against albums, but
Right.
it's just like it's got to be justified.
And I know you said we're off on a total tangent. Sorry, but I know you said people like art, but I don't know that people really value art at the end of the day, right? Any kind of art. Maybe for a moment, or you've got your few pockets of collectors or appreciators, but
Yeah,
I think it's very seen as very disposable, no matter what it is.
yeah, it's no, I agree. And what I mean is like, let's say you heard the most brutal song you've ever heard, and it had horrible shit art on the Spotify to it. Regardless of you buying it or not, it's going to play a part in your mental image of what they're trying to display. I think that's why a band like Behemoth has done so well is they get it. You know what I mean? They get it. Regardless of what anyone thinks of them or not. I mean, I love them to death, but you know, um, they get it. I mean, it's everything ties in with each other. Nothing is out of step for what it is they do. I mean, even like Cannibal Corpse, bands like this get it. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain textile thing to all this that you know, regardless if you're purchasing something or putting something on your wall. I think the image of it still works, but I mean, we say that, but I mean, I would still say for bands, vinyl's a huge thing, and I think that that's probably an art thing. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Like for
those
sure. I
bands that
mean,
you those bands that
what's
you
that?
alluded to, they're also masters at, I don't want to say controversy, but shock value, or I don't know what the word is. It's kind of the mix between the both, right? Nurgle's really good at being in your face, maybe is the word.
Yeah, pushing buttons. Yeah,
Yeah, pushing buttons, I guess. And so is, Cannibal Corpse. I mean, that's been their whole underlying thing. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, and 100% that too. And I mean, I don't know if you feel that way either, but I think really the big thing that we've lost in a couple of bands that you and I were just now talking about. I mean, even stuff like Dimmu Borgir and things of that nature, and even the older school stuff like Deicide, obviously like
right.
Cannibal Corpse. I think our music genre to some extent has lost a character.
It's not dangerous.
It's not dangerous anymore. I think there's too many bedroom guitar players, and there's not enough. Um, I can only speak for myself. I mean, we said this. I remember like even with TKV when we put out like some of our first stuff, we had no solos or anything on stuff, and we were disciples of Eric Rutan as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Regardless if we accomplished that or not, that's beside the point. But it's a matter of I, I can only go at my own speed
Right.
and who I am as a human being, and pissed off energy. Like I just want stuff. I don't know. Like I just never the girls and all that shit. It doesn't. I don't know. That shit doesn't appeal. I think you want to see fucking smiles and fucking pits and just energy at shows.
Right.
And I think we've kind of gotten so far into this tech realm. And trust me, I mean, look, I'm friends with Inferi and guys like this. I mean, they're
Right.
beautiful guitar players, beautiful. Like, I mean, but they're also not going for that energy, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But we are missing an element of danger.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm some controversial
Right.
person enough
A
to
dangerous
push
guy.
those, and
Right.
I can only um see what's going on and go, we're missing. It doesn't even matter that it's dangerous. I mean, it's like, look at somebody like James Hetfield, for example. I mean, he's a figure.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think we're missing that. There is not that anymore. It's why
Right.
bands nowadays can go on the road and there's one original member in the fucking band and everybody else is different. All that matters is the company motto, the name,
Right.
the logo. And it's almost more like a fucking football team than it is,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then, we're talking about a product more than we're talking about, music. And, you know, you know, I don't know. I feel like there is a resurgence of it. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but like even with like some of the more I don't even know if you want to call them black metal, but maybe like avant-garde black metal, like Uda and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
I think there's bands like that that still champion the. It's just about pissed energy. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, I agree.
It sounds pissed, and you know,
It has something to say.
yeah, it does. I mean, regardless if you can understand it, it's a relating to the emotion of it.
Yeah,
You know
even
what
if
I
you don't
mean?
agree with it, it has something to say, right?
Yeah, it has something that it's saying, and it's got a pulse. And you know, it goes with everything. You know, there's bands that do it right,
Right.
or at least in my eyes, do it right. You know, not that I'm the end all be all, but I think everybody agreed there's bands that do it right and do it wrong in all forms of genre. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? But I think we've just lost that. I don't know, like you said. I mean, the danger to some extent. You
The
know.
other one, we're running short on time, and I want to
Oh
get
yeah,
back
yeah.
to.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no, no. And I want to get back to the band, but I think it's a sense of immediacy too, right? That might be sort of missing.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean, you
think
can
a little
see
bit of all
everything.
of that. Yeah,
There is no. I mean, I remember when I was a kid. I mean, I was pretty young. I mean, I was born in '81. I mean, so by the time Deicide was like known or anything like that, but I remember being a little kid and hearing about Deicide, and he, could you imagine if there was social media? It would have killed Glenn Benton's
oh
career.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It wouldn't be the same. There wouldn't be that mystique to it. You know
right,
what I mean? Like, I say this as a Raider fan. You know what I mean? The mystique
right. Yeah,
is
no, I
big.
get it.
It's part of the reason that we say there's 31 NFL teams and then there's us. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, it's a different vibe. It's regardless if we're good or bad, whatever. No matter what, we're always going to be different. And
right.
there's a mystique to it. There's an attitude to it. There's, whatever. So I think for sure that's what's missing. But
So, what is next for A Divinis then? I know you said, this has just been out a couple weeks, or maybe even
yeah, it's
closer.
only been out a couple weeks. I mean, it's almost been a month at this point. But really, what's next for me? Working on a next single probably, and
Any
just
sort of timeline?
not really. I don't like giving myself a timeline. I you know I it's tough. Like I said, when you're doing it on your own. Paying for your own life to live and do
Right,
everything, and try to get like music put out and accomplish your goals as far as that are concerned. All I know is that are you there? Sorry.
yeah,
um all I know is that I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, the whole reason I started the project is Gabe Sieber, who's the drummer in the Kennedyville, he's just been I mean, his full-time job pretty much at this point is playing drums.
right,
And you know I needed to push myself and not just sit there and go, well, I'm just going to waste away, you know,
right,
try to challenge myself and make it, because definitely in the band, I was never the outwardly outward talking person. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
people, I mean, I'm friendly and everything like that, but it's just more of like, I'm just more recluse, I guess. And
right.
I
No,
think,
no, I
I
think
think it was a good thing for me to like contact Nathan. Hey, do you want to do drums on this? I'm very, at the time I was really worried. I'm like, oh, this dude's gonna
right,
laugh at me. He's gonna be like, the hell, you know what I mean? Like, I'm playing with these tech gods. Like, who are you, dude? You know what I mean? And but it's been a great experience, and I think if I get anything out of it, that's what I'm the most happy with is what I've been able to accomplish so far with it, which is not much, but it's still getting a chance to talk to people like you and have people I don't know hit me up, and to me, that's
right,
accomplishing something. I mean, I guess it's someone's definition of what is accomplishing something in today's music,
right.
and
But I'll tell you what, for anybody listening, I mean, I'm 100% with you. The of Odium, I guess, is the best way to pronounce it. Is that, did
yeah,
I get that?
yeah.
Fucking great. I mean, it's a
Thank you,
banger,
thank you.
real
Yeah,
banger.
all three of the songs that we put out have been, you know, it's been learning, you know, like even like people you're working with as far as production stuff is concerned, like
Right.
trying to find your sound that way. And, you know, so, you know, really, you know, to answer your question, I mean, as far as the future is concerned, it's just, it's more singles and, you know, if eventually if enough buzz gets created for us to put out an EP or maybe put these songs together and make it more of an album type thing, I guess.
Mhm.
You know, I would be open to that as well. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned right now, I mean, life is crazy enough as it is. I'm kind of enjoying just putting out singles and the art and learning how to, you know, navigate the, you know, social media stuff
Yeah.
for someone who's not very social, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like my actual personal Instagram page itself has like 3 pictures on it. So,
Right.
you know, I'm a pretty private person. So, yeah, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to putting out another song and, you know, seeing what people think of it. You know, there's always something burning, you know, I always have
Right.
something in my head. But yeah,
Sweet. Before, and I appreciate your time.
thank you so
I
much,
really
man.
do
Thank you
dig
for the
that
time.
song, so I'm looking forward to new stuff. I know we went
Thank
all
you.
over the place as well. I don't
Yeah,
really.
my bad.
No, no, I don't script these things. I just like to talk. I have some talking points, and sometimes we just get. But I think that makes it more natural, more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you for the time. Good luck with the next thing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Be well.